You might have some personal habits that are actually making your bladder symptoms worse, and you might not even know about it. My name is Holly McDonald. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist, and I help people with their bladder, bowel, and sexual health. And if you have symptoms of urinary urgency or leaking or frequent trips to the bathroom or difficulty getting started, then you could be doing some things that actually make those symptoms worse and not even know. For example, if you are a person who tends to be in a hurry when you go to the bathroom, you rush in and you sit down and really push the urine out really fast, I call this power peeing, and it can actually do more harm than good. Creating all that abdominal pressure is not really good for your bladder, and creating that rush of urine can actually be damaging in the urethra and the opening. Think of a garden hose that you put a thumb over the end of to create more pressure. That's how you're shooting out your urine. And it can actually compromise the muscles at the bottom in your pelvic floor that help you with closing. So don't get a rush and power pee. Take your time. Or maybe you're guilty of camel bladder. Another habit people can get into that creates problems with your bladder is waiting to go to the bathroom for a long period of time. Nurses and teachers can be guilty of this, but it can happen to anybody. In fact, some people really get a sense of pride about how long they can wait to go to the bathroom. But if you're waiting all day, even though you know your bladder is full to go to the bathroom, that really interrupts the system. First of all, you're filling the bladder beyond its normal capacity. You're distending the bladder and causing it to stretch, which can compromise the bladder and the bladder lining itself. And holding too long interrupts the feedback loops your body uses between your bladder and your brain and your pelvic floor, which are the systems that control when you go and when not to go. Holding too long alters the messaging and actually trains your brain and your pelvic floor to ignore the signals of normal bladder filling. So you don't notice that you have to go until it's an emergency and you could feel pain and cramping. Oftentimes those people are racing to the bathroom, and you may have symptoms of key in the door syndrome or losing your bladder right before you get to the toilet. And it's possible to train your bladder the opposite way as well. I had a patient who explained to me when she started working with me that she had a route of places where she would go when she would run errands, so that she would plan for stops to go to the bathroom along the way. She was going to the bathroom just in case she had to go. And she thought that doing that was proactively avoiding a sensation of urgency. But what she didn't know is that by always emptying her bladder early, she was training her bladder that it should never fill completely. She was training her bladder that it should send a signal when it was only half full or a quarter full or even less. So instead of avoiding urgency, she was actually encouraging her body to send signals of urgency more and more and more often. So part of her recovery had to be retraining the bladder so that it could fill all the way, or at least most of the way, without sending a signal. And what you're drinking throughout the day affects your bladder too. Coffee, black tea, diet sodas, those can irritate your bladder and ramp up sensations of urinary urgency and make you feel like you have to go to the bathroom more often. I actually have a whole video about that, and I'll drop a link to a free resource in the description. So here's what I'm hoping you get from this video. None of these habits make you broken or weird. It makes you human. A lot of my patients come in with these exact patterns, which is why I made this video. But the good news is habits can change and your body can learn new patterns. If you want to go deeper, you can check out my free resource about foods that can irritate your bladder. You can try changing some of the habits you learned from this video, and you can learn more information about pelvic health by subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you next time.